So, you're looking to improve in SCPSL? Well, you've come to the right place. I've been playing SL for a long time, and I've learned a few things. Today, I'm going to go over some tips and tricks to help you improve in SCPSL. But before we start, I just want to let you know that if you enjoyed today's video, you can like it, and if you're feeling extra nice, you can even subscribe. It helps a ton, and it'll help me continue to make awesome videos. I'll leave timestamps in the description and in the timeline so you can skip to a tip. It rhymes, I know. Amazing. Watch to the end of the video for an extra special bonus tip. I also have other SCP tutorial videos, so check them out if you haven't already, as it will help you learn the game efficiently and easily. Alright, let's get the show on the road. Part 1. Humans and overall tips. Tip 1. Stamina management. The first tip I'll be covering is having good stamina management. This is essential and is the supporting tip for all the others. Because, you know, it's useful. Basically, if you don't already know, you can sprint for 20 seconds and it takes 20 seconds to fully recharge from going all the way to no sprint, like sprinting for 20 seconds. In this time, it may allow you to escape an SCP, if you've seen it, but if you've already been sprinting and you encounter an SCP with only 5 or 10 seconds of sprint left, you're probably gonna die. A good way to not have this happen is to conserve your stamina, such as not sprinting for no reason. Like, you know, when you're going out of your spawn and you're just sprinting because, you know, you want to sprint, that's not good. If you're running to reach a door or escape something, that's alright. Like, say, you know, you get a key card and you want to get to 914 first, that's fine. Overall, conserving your stamina for the appropriate circumstances will be very beneficial. And on to the next tip. Tip 2. Juking. It may seem redundant, but having good juking skills can save your life. In game, obviously. Let's say if you're cornered, don't go to the sides. They're gonna expect that. Instead, go straight through them. Yes, I'm not kidding. There is no collision with you and the SCPs, so you can go straight through them, and they will not expect that. And it'll catch them off guard. Use this, you know, to get away. But don't do this with 173. That's a mistake. A good 173 will use this to their advantage. But for all the other SCPs, it's quite easy to juke them. Just jump around and be unpredictable. Side note, 079 isn't physically there, but sometimes you might be able to get through a door before they lock it if you're fast enough. Tip 3. Shortcuts. You might be thinking, what shortcuts? Well, you could jump on some corners to get around corners faster. Such as, you know, 939 going around the bends. Like that. Or in heavy containment. Not much in heavy containment, but, you know, there's some parts. You can use this to get to items faster or to juke some SCPs, since it's 173 or 939, etc. Also, use railings and other geometry to your advantage. That's really it for this tip. On to the next one. Tip 4. Timing and reaction time. Timing and reaction time is very important to your success in this game. First off, timing certain things well may let you outlive some situations. Example, knowing when to throw a grenade and knowing when it'll go off can do massive amounts of damage to the SCPs. For flash grenades, save them, only really use them if you have to. Try juking an SCP into an elevator and throw a grenade. The limited space will force them to take the damage, or if they're low enough, will kill them. Side note, 106 is very vulnerable to grenades. A good grenade can one-shot 106. From full health to 0, dead. Use this to your advantage. Moving on to reaction time. Reaction time is very valuable to your survival. In any game, really. Reacting quickly to someone shooting at you or seeing an SCP will help you live, unless they see you first. Now, moving on. Tip 5. Pre-firing. I know this isn't a conventional FPS game, but this can be a very good habit to get into. Pre-firing will let you get the first shot and damage off on someone, which is a massive advantage. If you know there's something behind a door or an elevator, start firing right when it starts opening. Let's say you're in an entrance and someone's behind a door, and if they're not going to open the door, you can open it, 'cause then you can control the situation. That's also another, like, bonus thing, controlling the situation, but I'll go over that in a second. So, start opening the door, or open the door, and then start firing before you can actually, like, hurt them. This will let you get the first shot on anybody and start getting damage on someone. But if you're, another thing, if you're in an elevator and you know someone's behind the door that's about to open, start shooting. Just like the example in Entrance, same thing. Also, use the right gun. Don't use a pistol against a P90. You're gonna die. Unless that person can aim, in which then you might win, but it's a P90, you know, fast fire rate, obviously. Tip number 6, gunfights. Knowing what to do in gunfights will help you win more fights and come out alive. Like the juking tip, it also applies. Be as unpredictable and jump around as possible. Also, aim for the head. Duh. Use the right gun for the situation as well. So let's say if it's long range, use an ESR, the MTF Lieutenant Gun Commander, the good gun. You use it with a sniper scope, a heavy barrel, and whatever other attachment you want to use. Those are like the best for long range because it's easy to control recoil, and you get a pretty long range with it. Yeah. If it's close to mid-range, use a P90 or larger, maybe more the P90, you know, better, you know, in my opinion. Or you can use the ESR with closer range attachments, such as maybe like a hollow sight and a heavy barrel and like a laser, something like that, or like a muzzle booster, you know, stuff like that. Most players will just aim at your head and walk out in the open, or not at your head, but will aim at you and walk around in the open, so like on surface. Make sure to use cover to your advantage as well. Also, the people that are walking around the open, kill them. They're gonna die because they're doing that. Bonus tip. Try to always be at the high ground, especially at surface, as a dark skybox will help to conceal you and make it harder to aim at you. Good players will look for the muzzle flash. So, don't be always shooting and staying in the same place. Try and move around and don't shoot as much, so people can't really see you and predict where you are. Big brain. Part 2, the SCPs. SCP-173. Probably the most broken but fun to play SCP out there. The most beneficial tip is you can hold down left click instead of only clicking when you're in range. Or just spam clicking, that's kind of annoying. It tells you this in the F1 menu, if you didn't already know that existed, but there you go. Another tip is to predict where someone's gonna go. This also applies to every other SCP as well. If they start running at you, turn around and try to start moving to where they're going to be. There are some other tips, but I'll let you figure them out for yourselves so you can develop your own playstyle. SCP-106. One of the most campy and defensive SCPs. That's really all it is to 106. And also the same sort of thing applies to all the SCPs, predicting where someone's gonna go. But please do make use of your sinkholes. Place one in your containment, so if they take someone, you can be ready to take them again if they escape. You also have resistance to bullets, which is, you know, pretty important. But not grenades in the micro. So use your resistance to be the tank of your team when you're pushing MTF, etc. SCP-096. Not much to say with 096. You'll learn how to play them by being him. Yes, but he is one of the rarer SCPs to get, so yeah. But you'll learn. One tip is don't underestimate a spawn wave. A smart, coordinated MTF wave will be able to take you out, most likely from full health, if you can't hit them. But even if you can't hit them, they might still be able to take you out. So make sure to have some backup so you're not the only one being focused. Also, please use charge sparingly. It's really useful, especially in close quarters. Or not even close quarters, but like people running in a straight line, you can get them easily. Or in like entrance, straight hallways. That's like the best place to use it. Tip 10, SCP-939. 939. Well, they aren't that hard to play. Use the same strats as some of the other SCPs, like predicting movement. But a good tip, if someone starts walking and disappears, they're holding C so that you can't see them, search their relative area of where you last saw them. Because they're most likely going to start moving to where they want to be. So go there and you'll most likely bump into them and catch them off guard. Side note, SCP-93989 and 53 have different models, and some parts can stick through walls and doors, which can be shot. Yeah. So be careful how close you are to a door if you know the person behind it has a gun. SCP-049. SCP-049 is a very powerful SCP if played correctly. Always try to revive someone you've killed or one your teammates have killed, unless you're in combat. So like, you got some SCPs and there's MTF and whatnot, they're shooting at you. Don't like sitting still reviving someone, because you can't move while reviving someone. So don't do that. Make sure you're safe before reviving. In terms of reviving, you have a 10-second timer when you kill someone to revive them. If you start reviving someone before the timer ends, it will revive them, but if not, it won't let you revive them. It'll say like, this poor soul is beyond a cure or something like that. Another thing, if you have a lot of zombies or SCP-049-2, it'll make spawn waves smaller considering there are less spectators available to spawn. SCP-079. SCP-079, or the computer, can be the scariest or least scary SCP depending on who's playing it. Because if they're bad, then it's not that scary, but if they're really good, then you don't want to mess with them. A good tip for 079 is having good communication. Well, that's really for any class, but especially 079, because this is vital to your success. Also, a good thing to do is to turn on SCP-049 toggle view mode in the settings under gameplay in the main menu. This lets you switch to a different camera mode with space, which lets you move the camera faster. This can be very useful if you want to like move over from a door to another door like really quick if someone's running, so you can lock that door and catch that person. It's very, very useful. Well, you've made it through the video. I hope you learned something about the game and how to play it. I couldn't do everything though, as this video would be way too long. Each SCP does deserve its own video, which will happen soon, so be on the lookout for those. Anyways, if you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and like the video, as this helps recommend it to more people, and turn on notifications to be notified whether I upload. Now, you've probably all come here for that bonus tip. Now that bonus tip, it's very good. Alright, so the way the models work in this game is that the model corresponds to the hitbox. So, say you're in, the nuke room at surface, where you activate the nuke, obviously. Say you have people outside and you're like sticking their gun to the wall, you can shoot their hand and do damage to them. I've killed someone that way before. It's very, cheese, but it's so funny. It's really good. It's really good. But yeah, there's your bonus tip. Anyways, this has been Skills, signing off.